现在剩一个恒大，恒大的悲剧比谁都会惨，比海航还惨。等着啊，大家记住，我会有2集专门报恒大的，我报恒大那一天起，恒大的丑闻只比海航大，不会比海航小。记住我这句话，记住我这句话。
Worried investors have already been protesting. They want to be repaid money owed by ailing Chinese property giant Evergrande. But the firm is edging closer to the brink, according to Bloomberg reports on Wednesday. It says banks have been told that Evergrande won't make loan interest payments due in the coming days. That raises the spectre of a messy meltdown. Evergrande has $305 billion in liabilities, owed to many different banks and lenders.
So Evergrande is out of China. They are a real estate behemoth out of China. And over the last 2 weeks, they've been notifying investors that they are going to default on over $305 billion of bonds, which is absolutely insane. Now, what is a bond? Okay, first off, in the most simplest terms, a bond is a loan to a company. So if you're an investor and you say, hey, Evergrande, we think you're a big company. We're going to give you a loan, or we're going to buy your bond, and we're going to give you $1 million. We're going to buy that bond. So the company Evergrande takes your $1 million and then promises, hey, we're going to pay, I believe they pay a 6% dividend every year on the bond, a payment that they make. So you transact, you give them $1 million, and now every year you're expecting a 6% back on that. Now, typically you don't do this with just any old company because you don't know if they're going to pay, but a huge company like Evergrande or Apple or Google, you'd say, well, Apple's a big company. I think I can trust that they can make payments. Yeah, let's do it. Evergrande is so big. They've created over $305 billion of these bonds, money that they've taken, and they're promising to pay on every month. They got to make a payment on that. Now, additionally, these bonds that you buy, yes, you can hold them. There's a time period on these bonds, but also you can trade them. That creates the bond markets. Now, you can trade these bonds. The most famous bond market is the U.S. Treasury bond. You can give money to the U.S. government, and they will give you a note or a coupon saying that they will pay you on that note. So how does this play in? Well, Evergrande, back to the story, told investors that they no longer could make payments on their bonds, which means Evergrande is really becoming insolvent as a bondholder and as a company itself. Usually your bonds are the last thing you default on. There's lots of other things you can default on, but you don't want to default on bonds. So this is currently sending ripples through global markets, specifically the Chinese real estate market, though, because Evergrande currently is building over 2 million homes in China. They've taken down payments on those homes. They've got people that are moving in or trying to build and construct. They can no longer transact and complete those projects.
It's a sight repeated across China. Scores of unfinished homes with construction at a standstill. They're the work of ailing property developer Evergrande. This week saw reports that the giant firm could fail to make loan interest payments. It's weighed down by $305 billion in liabilities. Markets and officials are worried what might happen if it succumbs to a messy collapse. The Chinese government has asked Evergrande to guarantee that it can deliver all units sold. Investors also have questions. Will the firm be allowed to go under, or will Beijing intervene in some way? Many worry that an unmanaged default would have unpredictable and severe consequences for China's financial system. Right now, though, no one is getting any answers to their questions.
Meanwhile, the CCP continues its incredible behavior, subsidizing companies, disappearing people. There are concerns mounting after Beijing told major banks that its second largest property developer, Evergrande, will not be able to pay any interest payments beginning next week. The company's local bond trading suspended today after prices fell. Asian stocks have been impacted on the CCP's continued crackdown. And I just want to say that there are real implications implications in the United States as well for this Evergrande story. This is a list of the top mutual fund holders of Evergrande: Vanguard International Stock Index, Vanguard International Stock Index Total, Emerging Markets Vanguard, DFA Emerging Markets Core Equity Portfolio, Vanguard Global. All of these mutual funds hold Evergrande. Are you expecting a big impact from this China property giant admitting about this debt crisis is underway? By the way, there are protesters besieging the headquarters of Evergrande right now. And of course, this all as the crackdown from Beijing continues. The gaming sector still feeling the pressure. Shares of Macau casino operators down as much as a third of their value yesterday. And the sell-off is continuing this morning. With the Wynn Resorts, Las Vegas Sands, and MGM down 1.5% to 3% right now, Stephen.
Yeah, well, I think that we have focused appropriately on a lot of what China's been doing with wolf warriors, some of its military aggression externally. But what that does is it draws attention away from some profound problems inside of China, which may explain to some degree the aggression that we see on the outside. This is a major, major test of China's financial system. The whole question of is something too big to fail in China is something that has never really been answered to this point. It also shows what a lot of us, including this program, have been warning about, that a lot of our financial investors in the United States, ranging from teachers' pensions to municipal bonds to a whole host of other instruments, have massive exposure in a system that abides by none of the standards that we require in our own market. So that imbalance puts an unnecessary risk out into our market, not just theirs.
它不是生意，那叫政治。恒大这个就是一个诈骗，纯粹金融诈骗。恒大出事的时候，我告诉你，那比安邦，那比这个什么民生，那比这个海航都要大啊，都要大啊，而且国际上更加会震撼。